oh my gosh, is AI actually going to replace me if it's already replacing tech jobs? How do I stand a chance?
The new algorithms are going to be heavily run on AI. This is something Elon just announced with X, and trust me when I tell you, TikTok's already been doing it, and everybody else is already going to adopt this as well. Given the fact that inflation is reaching what it is, given the fact that things cost what they do, given the fact that literally we're paying more interest on our debt than what we're actually producing to be able to pay off, concerning, right?
It's that we're afraid that we're losing meaning as a people. AI is simply stealing our creativity. If it was up to us, we would put AI back in the box. There's a lot of potential for destruction here. We are not trying to sugarcoat that. So if you're in a robotic, repetitive space, get out. It's not going to go away. How do we adapt and actually make it a powerful tool in our ecosystem instead of trying to fight it or be afraid? The things that make us human are the things that we have to lean into, the things that only we can do, things like empathy, connection.
It's going to drive down costs to make life more affordable. You are always going to be Tony Stark. Use the tools, leverage them to your ability to speak with clarity and identify who those 1,000 fans are and speak to those people. And literally, I think you're going to win bigger than you ever have before.
What's up, familia? It's Kim.
And Chris.
And you're listening to the Business Lounge podcast.
In each episode, we'll break down all the latest in online marketing, give you all the detail on what's working now to turn your content into customers, boost your leads and sales, and scale your business fast.
All without compromising on what you care about most: faith, family, and freedom. And listen, it's all real, raw, and unfiltered. So let's start the show. Welcome back to the Business Launch podcast. I am your co-host, Kimberly Ann Jimenez, and I'm here with my co-pilot, Chris. And today we're going to dive into all the crazy layoffs that are happening this week in the tech world because of AI. Now, we're actually going to break it down for all of you guys who are wondering, like, what the heck does this mean as a small business owner? I think that as online business owners, we're kind of tech adjacent. And when these things happen, inevitably people get scared. They start thinking, oh my gosh, is AI actually going to replace me if it's already replacing tech jobs? Like, how do I stand a chance? Well, my friend, we're going to separate chaos from truth today and show you how you can actually use AI to your full advantage, plus the hidden opportunities that this crazy time presents coming up. So, Chris, AI has been here for at least 2.5 years.
I mean, if we want to be technical about it.
True. Like, what, Siri? Would you say Siri is one of the
100%.
first?
Yeah, even the autofill, right? When you were typing in your Gmail back in the day and it was predicting what you were going to say next, like that technically is pattern recognition AI, right? So it's just not new. What's new is these large language models like the Groks and ChatGPTs, and so that is now what is considered AI. And to be fair, this is probably the most mainstream and known that it's been.
Yeah.
And some people are really, really excited. Some people are really, really scared. And most people are somewhere in between.
I think I'm somewhere in between.
Yeah. And it depends on what time of the day you ask me.
True. Exactly.
For real. So
what's crazy too is that I feel like it has changed everyone's consumption behavior on the internet, especially when it comes to Googling things or, using it for research. At the same time, it's also created a ton of opportunities. And so it's just really interesting. I think that for us, our journey with AI had been, hey, let's just keep an eye on it and see if actual, market adoption happens, if it changes behaviors. And last year we noticed, okay, it is not a trend. No. It is a shift, right? We talk about the difference between trends and shifts. Chris and I are not early adopters in the sense that we don't like to be the first ones to test something. We'll observe what everyone else is doing in the industry and let the market breathe and figure out, okay, where do we go from here?
It's usually not a winning posture to be a trendsetter or to be chasing trends, because so few people win, but more often than not, those people actually pave the way for other people to come succeed.
Totally.
And so we like to allow companies that are VC backed or have some margin to go do those type things. And then we'll just adopt and hopefully, put mastery on what has, become now a shift, like Kim mentioned. So that's our reasoning for it. And it's something that we recommend to our people too, right? Unless you got a rich uncle or you are VC backed, it's you probably don't have the margin to go through taking the lumps of actually figuring this stuff out and building the projects and stuff like that. So,
and as a small business owner, that doesn't mean that you can't be an early adopter.
For sure.
For us, it's just not how our brain is wired, and we like to be able to use repeatable models. And we've seen and been around the block a long time, and we've seen the trends absolutely skyrocket, and then someone built their entire business off of it, and then it collapsed. Every platform you can think of, Periscope. And...
I was literally, so that would be a perfect example. We saw people build their whole business on Periscope,
right?
And even named themselves their little pseudonym on based off of Periscope, right?
Right.
And then, but that was a trend that
Mhm.
led to a shift, which was going
Yes.
live, which I don't think has actually been, I mean, depending on,
It hasn't.
right. I know people are,
Everyone was like, okay, you're going to have to
you're going
do
to have to
video
do it.
live. Video,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can, like, video is going to
Yeah.
be extinct. And I know that it sounds ridiculous to compare Periscope to ChatGPT, but it's not just Periscope, right?
No.
It's like, what was that? I always
Clubhouse.
forget Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Thank
That
you. It's
completely
like
died.
platform after platform after platform is like, oh, now we're going to listen to podcasts live. We're not going to
Yeah.
actually record podcasts. It's like, oh, well, that's gone.
Yep.
And then I remember just simple things like, Facebook ads are the only ads that you're ever
Yeah.
going to be able to run. And now, I mean, sure, they stood the test of time in a way,
In a way.
but there's so much more opportunity on platforms like TikTok and YouTube. And it's just interesting to me how everything changes. But
Yeah.
the point is that once a trend becomes a shift, we will jump on and adapt
This is
because
a
I think
shift.
that's important.
This
And
is
it is
a
a
shift.
shift.
This is a shift.
It's an important shift.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of positives that are also coming out of it.
Yeah.
I want to be very clear about our position. If it was up to us, we would put the AI back in the box. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of potential for destruction here. Okay. We are not trying to sugarcoat that or act like
Yeah.
it's just the best gift to mankind, because that's not how I actually feel. If it was up to me, I'd be like, nope, I think that this is spiritually dangerous. I think there's a lot of things that could happen that could go wrong. But then again, there's also a lot of positives. And so we're here. It's not going to go away. How do we adapt and actually make it a powerful tool in our ecosystem instead of trying to fight it or be afraid?
Yeah. I don't want to go into those trenches. I'm actually getting ready to do a video on that. I've broken it down into what I'm calling eras of AI waves and a lot of societal implications that Kim just mentioned. So if you're interested in hearing somebody completely nerd out on that,
Go check out his video.
I'm going to be doing it's a shameless plug.
We will link it here when
Yeah,
it's
because
up.
I'm about to go down that rabbit hole now and I'm like, nope.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Just a little teaser?
Okay, I'll show you the slides. I'll at least show you what I have so far.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. So right now, I'll show you where we are, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. So there we go. And I'll zoom in so you guys can actually see this too. So right now, this is where we are. So we are right in between what I'm calling the adoption era and the adapt era. And so right now, what you're seeing is people realizing what we just said, right? Meaning it's not a trend. This is a shift. And they're adapting, right? And they're infusing AI into what they do. They're infusing AI into their daily operations. They're infusing AI in how they do content, how they literally live their lives, right? Like you're using, not just getting online and asking, oh, can you make something funny for me on ChatGPT? No, you're actually using it in transformative ways in your life and in your business. That will lead to what I'm calling the expansion era, meaning companies will operate the most efficiently they ever have. A small bit, think about how many times you said, like, if I could just do the things that I actually like to do in my business and not be bogged down with nonsense. Well, your time, like, this is the greatest era for you ever then, because all those things that you don't like doing, great. We're going to figure out how to clear your path.
Right.
I was literally talking to my brother about this. He's got a very involved job with a lot of moving parts and pieces. It's very dynamic. And I told him, I said, this is your time right now to get rid of like 90% of that.
Yeah.
To utilize AI in powerful ways. And I'm not talking about just ChatGPT. I'm not talking about, custom GPTs. Like there are amazing ways that you can actually run your life now using these tools, which will lead to the ability to be more productive than ever. Companies will be more profitable than ever, which will lead to massive investments and expansions into things that I don't think we've ever seen. And I think fortunately, and again, this is where we get into the societal implications there, it's going to drive down costs to make life more affordable. And given the fact that inflation is reaching what it is, given the fact that things cost what they do, given the fact that literally we're paying more interest on our debt than what we're actually producing to be able to pay off, concerning, right? We're talking about US dollar and US economy. This is the opportunity to be able to reverse course on a lot of those things. And I have a lot of, other thoughts and what have you about monetary systems. Again, I'm going to stop myself. This is what you get for now, right? So bottom line is this, you are not late. You are not early. You are right on time for what I'm calling that adapt era. And if you take advantage of that, I think what you're going to find is you're going to be more fulfilled in your work. You're going to find that you actually love what you do. You're going to find that the things that used to hold you back are no longer in your way, and you're not waiting and 2 years later still kicking yourself because it's like, darn, I still haven't done that thing. No, the era of getting that done and not having that bogging you down is absolutely here, and it's your time to take advantage of that and get out of your own way in a lot of ways.
I love that. And so that kind of brings us to like, what is it that is actually happening with these tech layoffs? I think you have like a graph of like all the companies that are laying off people right now. And what I think is really important to understand is that, like Chris said, these layoffs are really about efficiency. Companies are trying to become more efficient. We are in a climate that requires efficiency in many ways. That doesn't mean that I'm happy or excited about this. In the least, I am. But it's helpful to understand what is happening and what we can do about it. So you see UPS, Amazon, Intel. I mean, like that's a crazy amount of companies having layoffs that are tied directly to AI.
Some of these, right? So, okay, this is really important. Sometimes we cling to the known, and sometimes we cling to things that necessarily aren't for the best because it's the familiar.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that all of these jobs are things that we should be like, yeah, fine. Like, like it is a concern, right? But do I think that somebody needs to be up on a 400-foot cell phone tower replacing a light bulb, replacing cable lines, like risking their life to do these things? Or do I think that at some point a robot should do that because it's powered on AI? Do I think that people really enjoy being in 110-degree heat, riding around delivering packages in a UPS truck? I don't. Maybe you do. Maybe you absolutely love that. But fundamentally, at times, we actually risk human lives doing some of these jobs that people don't really even like doing. They actually force themselves to go do it, and they end up with serious health issues down the line, or they're just miserable overall. And so I think sometimes we have to be like, look, some of this is actually a good thing. Some of it's actually a concerning thing. I think, mid-level developers and engineers losing their job. Okay, that's more of a concern because that is a job that a lot of humans did that weren't like risking life, right? Like that's not risking someone's life.
Yeah, it feels like a replacement is
and
what you're
that feels
saying.
more replacement versus like, hey, we're going to subsidize this because no human should do it versus that was actually that was what somebody would call a good job, right? So some of it is that, and some of it is, but really what it comes down to is just overall efficiency. But we're going to see, right? Because, and again, I'm not going down into theoretical land here. I'm going to stop myself, I promise. But I do think this is going to happen. I do think that a lot of these companies are a little too bullish on this.
And there's going to be a clapback and a realization.
And I think companies like Meta are trying to go too much into AI and replace humans too much, where it's going to be foundations built on sand.
Yes, I agree.
Really, really believe it's going to be slop code, and these platforms are going to be janky, and people are going to be like, this site sucks now. You're going to see a lot of really trash. My friends and I call it we call it AppTimu instead of like AppSumo. Because a lot of these platforms are just not going to work the way they're supposed to because they're built on AI and there's so few humans actually doing what's called QA, which makes sure that these things are actually working the way they're supposed to.
Yeah, absolutely. I also think that we have to truly understand what is happening. It's not that companies, are out here trying to just replace every single employee. I think they are becoming more efficient. And in a lot of ways, what they're thinking about is replacing repetitive tasks in a lot of ways. Not always, not everyone. And I think that is the important thing to understand as business owners and entrepreneurs is that you are not a repetitive task. When you're a business owner, when you're an entrepreneur, you bring creativity, problem solving, and a very special sauce to the table that most people who are working desk jobs don't have the range to do. I mean, think about just the amount of hats that you wear on an everyday basis, right? Like you're the visionary, you're the integrator, you're the bookkeeper, you're also the creative person, you're creating all the marketing and also delivering the service. I don't think that people understand, like in the online space particularly, how different we actually are than the rest of the population.
That's true.
And how much we contribute in so many amazing ways. And that might sound rah-rah and, idealistic, but I think that what we're seeing in the trends are telling us is that people are always going to need human connection.
Yes.
They're choosing human even though they have AI. We'll talk more about how that's playing out in the businesses that we help coach and mentor as well as in our own business. And I think that being human is what differentiates us from AI. And we have to lean into that as much as possible instead of thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to be replaced and all of my creative work is going to be replaced because we do have AI tools like Sora, right? They're creating incredible videos and like images. And it's hard to really calibrate and figure out where we fit in. But the things that make us human are the things that we have to lean into, the things that only we can do, things like empathy, connection. In a lot of ways, AI is simply stealing our creativity, but we're the ones who are authoring most of it. We're not in a point yet where it's able to essentially design and create all on its own. It's still sourcing data and using patterns to figure out what it needs to. Yeah, exactly.
So you said something important about the taskmaster. We refuse to divorce our taskmasters because it's where we've derived our meaning and value for so long, right? It's like same with intelligence. Like we have found value in our intelligence for centuries, right? And I'm not saying like we're all going to be dumb plebes now, like we're just not going to be smart people. But I do think that there are elements of us that we've kind of lost ourselves. We've kind of lost the essence of what it means to be human in a lot of ways because we're so buried in the taskmaster stuff, right? And so, yes, it concerns me a lot how fast. It's more the speed of anything that concerns me.
That is what is hard, is because we don't have a break to adapt.
Yeah, it's the transition that concerns me. Like I have a vision of what this could be long term, and I think it's for the betterment of humanity if it's handled responsibly. What concerns me is that getting people to accept this shift, and most shifts take a long time, and this is moving it's moving faster even than I expected.
Yeah, and I think the real fear, like if we can verbalize it really well, it's not that we're afraid that jobs are being lost. It's that we're afraid that we're losing meaning as a people, right? Like, am I needed anymore? Is the question.
Yeah, without time to be able to like compress and process that and transition appropriately.
Exactly.
Right. And that's where it's like the speed of it is the adaptation is going to be really tough for a lot of people.
But I think the good news is that it's not just about like, let's do the most human tasks possible. Like, let's do as many things as humans as we can. It's like, no, let's do the things that we only can do as humans, right? Like the most human possible things. How can we lean into that? And so I think that that's what presents the biggest opportunity. Yes, we need to upskill, and we can talk a little bit more about that, right? And figure out ways in which we can cut our own inefficiencies as small business owners. And
that would be priority one for me.
Priority number one. Hey, like, how do we find the right tool stack? And there's a lot of overwhelm around that. We're going to do another episode about like, hey,
your AI tool stack.
Like, what are we seeing that is really working? Because I think the hype of AI and what it promised that it could do versus what it actually can do is super it's so underwhelming.
I was reading, it was like 67% of people there's a term that it used. It was called like the AI gap or something.
Yes.
But what the study showed was that 67% of people found themselves like underwhelmed or finding that it didn't deliver on the core premise of what they thought it was going to do to the full extent that they thought it would.
Exactly.
That's a pretty significant amount of people. And so that is something to note. And that's where I think people tend to, and this happened with the .com bubble, right? Like people, like they were just throwing money at projects. Did you know there's more VC capital infused into AI projects than there even were? I think it's like 17x more concentration. Again, you're going to fact check me with AI on this one now, but it's something like that, right? Where it's roughly about the same equivalent or substantially more VC money into these projects that were the .com bubble, because people would get so enamored and everybody's rushing to that opportunity, right? And so we've kind of moved past that enamorment season to the realities that we're not talking about with this thing. And it doesn't mean that they're not great. It doesn't mean that like the .com bubble didn't mean the internet went away.
Yeah.
Right. It obviously didn't, because here we are.
Right.
But what it meant was it was like people thought that like this was just going to be, I don't know,
the answer to every problem.
To everything. And obviously that wasn't the case.
Yes.
Because what do we learn fundamentally? If information was the answer, we'd all be billionaires.
All of us.
And yet here we are.
With more information.
And yet here we are, 20 years later, still watching this podcast.
I know.
Because when are Kim and Chris going to tell me I need to do in my business because this new technology is going to take my darn job away or kill my business, right? So again, like perspective, right? Like we have these crazy knee-jerk reactions sometimes, and sometimes it's warranted and sometimes it's not. There's definitely adaptation that needs to take place. But I do think that context, intuition, empathy, like what makes you a person, it just can't be synthesized. Like, there's something about who you are and what makes us human. That sounds really woo-woo and rah-rah, whatever.
It's so woo-woo.
It does sound woo-woo, but it's true though. And I think the part that scares us the most is that we haven't addressed that in so long because we are so busy doing the things that we don't even like to do because it's part of the gig, right? It's like, but I got to do all these things. And then maybe the last hour of my day, I can actually do some things in my business that I want to do. Like I can create content. Like how many people have said like, oh, like I would love to do YouTube. I just don't have the time to do it. I would love to, post more I'd love to blog. I'd love to, like go live with my audience. But you can't because your 95% of your day is compressed or is spent on things that you don't even like to do. And so I think we kind of associate our identity there and find value in that, like I mentioned. And now it's like, okay, so we have to address and face the thing that we've kind of like lost sight of in a lot of ways. So I don't want to be talking in circles here because I feel like I already said that. But to me, that's the big opportunity that no one's talking about, in at least not as much as the fear that we hear people talking about, right?
Yeah, I agree. So I think there's 3 reframes that I have in my outline that are really important for us to understand now. So the first one is that as companies are cutting costs and becoming more efficient, as small business owners, our reframe is that we need to increase connection. Again, the human value proposition is so empowering and so important in this season. And so how does that play out? I think sometimes we look at our competitors, as bigger corporations, and we feel really small.
Yeah.
We're like, but I'm just, a team of 1, or I'm a team of 3, or I'm a team of 10. How do we compete? And the reality is, the smaller you are, the bigger advantage you have.
In this season,
In this season, especially because people want to connect with humans. They don't want to connect with tools, and they don't want to connect with corporations. Those things are helpful in terms, like, the tools are helpful, and the corporations create products that are helpful too. But I think we have a crisis of trust. We've talked about the 2025 Edelman report. I was doing some research with AI today, and like, it's just article after article after article about the trust crisis.
Yeah.
The smaller you are, the more willing people are to give you their trust. And trust is a huge currency in this season.
Yeah.
I think that the more we become, quote unquote, replaced by the robots, the more people are going to crave real human connection. And so how does that show up for you? It means that you need to start thinking about community. How do you build community into your business? How do you build connections with your existing clients? How do you create experiences for people instead of having your value proposition be the old school model, which is selling information? Especially if you're an online business owner and you're like a coach or an expert, you got to pivot from just, I'm going to show and sell information, to I need to focus on transformation, connection, empathy, and relatability. I think that's the first reframe.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. So the second one, did you want to say something?
Yeah. So I'm like ruminating on examples and stuff like that while Kim's talking, but
I wasn't sure. I'm like, I'm not sure where we're going. So.
I'm in full ADD land on that, right? So
that's good.
I talked about this recently, but the new algorithms are going to be run on social media. This is one example, right? One example. The new algorithms are going to be heavily run on AI. This is something Elon just announced with X, and trust me when I tell you, TikTok's already been doing it, and everybody else is already going to adopt this as well. And the reason is because what they're finding is that social media's gotten really crowded, right? Like, everybody's fighting in the algorithms, trying to get that position. It's all an auction block. So when you submit content, it has criteria that it looks for to like where you're going to position in the newsfeed.
Right. So
if there's 500 posts, right? Let's just say, like, economy of scale, right? Let's just boil it down to make it numbers that make sense, because trust me, it's way more than 500. But let's say like you're number 499. Well, the likelihood of you getting seen is very slim, right? Well, as time has progressed, based on these algorithms, you're not getting visible. You're not having visibility on social media anymore, and people are getting frustrated with content. Now, positive reframe now is that great. AI is actually being able to learn more about you and the content that's relevant for you, so that it's not this traditional, we'll get in line in the auction block and hopefully we'll show your stuff. It's like, no, it's not built on those very simple models of algorithms. It's built on an extremely dynamic algorithm now that's going to show your stuff, your voice, even though you're small. First of all, you can run more efficiently, like we talked about, because you're getting stuff out of the way. But now your voice is actually, even with a small audience, is going to reach the people that it needs to reach, because these AI algorithms are going to look for the one thing and the one thing only: relevancy for the person that's actually looking for it.
Yep.
So all these people, right, that are layoffs, so let's reframe the layoff thing. If, let's say you do what we do, right? You're a service provider, you're a coach, you're an expert, whatever, the people primarily we work with. Well, for us, you're going to have all these people, that 18,000 people, 30,000 people, 300,000 people are getting laid off. Meaning they're going to be looking for alternative means to make money, and they're probably going to turn to entrepreneurship. So massive opportunities for us. Well, now guess what? If we're speaking with clarity on our content, the AI algorithm is going to know who it's for way better than the old algorithms, and all this influx of new people. Now we've got fundamentally way more people that we can serve that are looking to do what we've been doing for the last 10 to 12 years. Yeah. And that's just one example. Sorry if that was a rabbit hole.
No, you're fine.
Off track here.
No, because we literally had a session last week about this with our coaching clients about like, hey, AI is actually going to make finding your content so much easier.
So much easier.
Where the paradigm is going to shift completely. We need to do an episode about that, because it's no longer about followers at all.
It's not.
It's all about relatability and connection, which is so cool.
And the reason that the followers mattered before was because, again, those very simple algorithms that they had to show why. Social media platforms are built on one thing: attention. Because the more attention they gain from the people that are using the platform, the more ads they can show. The more ads they show, the more money they make. So the reason that follower counts used to matter so much is because when you have a lot of followers, it tells the old algorithms, this person is somebody that people want to hear from. So that's why it would show your stuff more if you had a bigger follower count, right? But as times progress, it's becoming less that's the case, because now it's about what you have to say that people want to hear, because TikTok mastered that. And they showed you what you want to see. They showed it to you fast, and they showed it to you often. And people are spending an enormous amount of time there. That's algorithm. It learns so fast. It's unbelievable. Now imagine that across the web, right? All these times that you posted on Instagram, and you feel like you just threw it into the abyss. Now imagine, again, you're at a point where the right people are seeing it, not just casting a big net based off things like follower accounts, but based off of people that actually want to hear what you have to say. Not just saying, oh, well, hopefully somebody of this massive amount of people in the algorithm sees my stuff. No, it's very targeted, and it's going to work almost to a degree maybe that it never has before. So again, I'll get out of the nerd weeds on this, but these are the kind of things that make me excited because I see massive opportunity that we tend to not focus on or think about or understand how these technologies work. And when you understand how they work, you're like, whoa, that's going to be a huge opportunity.
I like it. So shift number 2.
Yes.
AI is creating efficiency gaps, and that is still your opportunity.
Yes.
So it's really interesting, right? So as we're fixing on one hand efficiency with corporations, at the same time, every single new trend or really wave of technology creates an efficiency gap. And that is usually the opportunity. So what I think is really important is that you learn to partner with the tools that make your business run faster and more efficiently.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's always going to be an opportunity that opens up every time we go through a tech transformation or a tech evolution. And it's going to be more important than ever that you actually hunt down those opportunities, that you're looking for those opportunities. And I think, everyone said this from the beginning that ChatGPT dropped. Like, hey, you're not going to be replaced by AI, but you will be replaced by someone who is using AI. And I think that, it's such a superpowered tool to have at your fingertips when you're using it responsibly, when you're using it with integrity, when you're using it with the right, kind of guardrails. But the reality is that there is so much that we can do with creating content faster. Like we just showed you guys how much faster you can create content with Spark, for example. Our entire content workflow has probably been optimized by 80%. I think that we spend 20% of the time actually thinking about the best content ideas, how to frame things, the best hooks, then actually editing, then actually posting, then actually writing. And I love it because we can produce these episodes. Like Belle is gone right now. Love Belle. She's on maternity leave. She's our editor and our content manager. And we're like, oh my gosh, we're going to have to figure out this whole thing. But we're able to create a workflow that enables us to get these episodes out in like 3 hours. And we're not even doing the 3 hours of work. We're just like recording, filming, and then sending it to our favorite AI stack that actually helps us edit and then publish and then clip all of our sound bites.
And it's a level of production that's not going to it's not Mr. Beast, right?
Yeah.
But for most
simple.
times though, that's good because it feels authentic.
Right.
Right. So for a lot of you, just like what we call a level 1 or a level 2 edit is all you need anyways. And the tools now, I think within 6 months, like one of them, Descript, that we use, I think is already going to be there.
Totally.
If it's not already there now, which it pretty much already is, which is crazy.
Yep. And I think that is absolutely like framing the next one because, and I know I keep saying that, but it's true. Like you made me just think about that. The new economy is trust driven. That's the third shift, right? We have to understand that again, as machines start scaling information, as if we haven't scaled information enough. YouTube has content about everything you could possibly think about. Google will find you every possible article, and yet we have more information. So as these machines scale information, it's up to us to scale trust. And we're in an environment that creates a massive opportunity again for making sure that you're taking care of your people the best you possibly can. That you're connecting on a human level and letting the tools do the work that is not necessary for you to do so that you can do the thing that only you can do, right? Which is connection, creating new ideas, innovating, and becoming more of a human-centric brand all around.
Context, being dynamic, lived experience, right? Like all those things are super important. And that's assuming, again, you're like a consultant or a coach or, expert in some way.
Right.
Super, super important.
Okay. So as a recap, ready for the recap? Very simple. We're going to train tools and make sure that you are becoming as efficient as possible. Look at what are your gaps in your company, right? Like, do you have a ridiculously long workflow for your marketing? How can you actually optimize your efficiency when you're on a call with a client or when you are, actually qualifying leads or completing your sales process? Audit your business and think about where are the efficiency gaps where you can hire your tools. This is something you say all the time. Hire your tools.
Hire your tools.
Before you're ready to hire your first or next employee. The next thing is you want to make sure that you're leading with trust, right? That's super important. I think that storytelling, leading with empathy, with connection, being real and relatable, and really leaning into your humanity is going to be critical. And the final thing, I want you to focus on transformation, not tasks. We are trained since childhood to believe that our worth is what we do. It's not what we do anymore. It's why we do it and how we do it that really matters.
It's true.
And so as you're thinking about your sales mechanisms and your marketing messages, how can you be more clear about the transformation that you're providing for people? Not just tell them, that this is the best solution, but actually show them how you're going to help them. Like really think about, hey, it's not information anymore, it's transformation. And if we lean into that, we're going to be positioned for growth in an environment that sometimes can feel a little chaotic.
3 years ago, we adopted saying internally as a team, answers over information.
Yes.
We are in an environment of information overwhelm and answer underwhelm. People are now more overwhelmed than ever with the abundance of information they're getting. And you can literally sit next to somebody and be using chat or Grok or whatever. Kim and I do this. She will ask something in a certain way and I'll ask it a little bit slightly different and it'll give us contradictory advice.
It's true.
And so all we've done is hyperscale information, and it doesn't mean that the information is right. And it just is leading people to being more overwhelmed, or they're trying things and they got as far as information. They're like, well, that didn't work. Now what? And they're back to the drawing board. If you can be the answer for somebody, be in an environment of chaos, be organization for them, because we seek that. When we're in a chaotic environment, we will seek that out where we feel safe, we feel peaceful, we're not overwhelmed and in chaos. And I think for a lot of people, that's going to be something that's going to be a huge opportunity. If you can focus on transformation and answers for people, it's going to be powerful.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
You know, I think I read this recently, and maybe we'll close with this, but it's that AI can't replace people. It can only replace people who act like machines. It's like, oh, so if you're in a robotic, repetitive space, get out.
Yeah.
You got to lean into humanity and what makes you human. And so for us, I think that the more human you become, the more valuable you actually become. I think that's really, really, really powerful. Now, Chris, before we end, what is our call to action? Because we gotta move our people to do something. I think we should have them watch the 1000 True Fans episode, where you're going to actually learn how to build an audience of real, absolutely loyal buyers who love everything that you put out and can't wait to buy it.
Yes. The reason I think that is a really solid point is speaking with specificity. As I mentioned with the new AI algorithms, it's going to be everything.
Yeah.
Secondarily, people are going to be using, we talked about AI tool stacks, right? People are going to go to ChatGPT, or they're going to go to Grok, or they're going to go to Claude, whatever they use, and they'll be like, write me a sales page. And you know what? They're going to all sound soulless. They're going to sound the same. And if you can figure out how to utilize that opportunity to speak with clarity, you will be signal in a sea of noise.
Yep.
And so focusing on those 1000 true fans and speaking to them and knowing exactly who they are, we literally will talk to people like our clients and we'll say, okay, let's use this messaging to this specific avatar and let's get really refined on that. They'll see an increase of sometimes like $500,000 in revenue, and they don't even change anything else they've been doing.
Yep.
They don't start doing more content. It's not like they just waved a magic ad wand or they just hired some guru. Like they literally just changed their positioning, changed their messaging, and focused on who their person was, and just being able to present in that way literally made all the difference in the world. Now, again, imagine that. I know I keep harping on this because I get excited about algorithms, but now imagine you're doing that and you're giving these new AI algorithms ammunition to go find who those people look like because you're the person that's speaking with clarity. Now, what's going to happen is this, really important. The people that are using, and please don't find yourself in this camp, because I promise you, you're going to reach out to us in a year and be like, you were right. I'm not seeing any benefit at all from these AI algorithms you talked about. Because what's going to happen? People are going to do what we call slop content. They're going to literally just do what I said. They're going to go to chat, write me a sales page, whatever. Well, here's what's going to happen. These AI algorithms, they're not going to give preference to this AI slop content because it all sounds the same. Yeah. The stuff that's differentiated, the stuff that's with clarity, the stuff that actually has meaning and purpose that people are resonating with, that's what's going to get priority in the algorithms. So really important that you don't make that mistake and fall into that trap. So when you build your tech stack, make sure that everything is still based off of you. It's Jarvis. There's always Tony Stark. Tony doesn't start working for Jarvis. That's not how it works. Like you are always going to be Tony Stark. I'm a huge nerd. I'm sorry. But you are always going to be Tony Stark. Use the tools, leverage them to your ability, speak with clarity, and identify who those 1,000 fans are and speak to those people. And literally, I think you're going to win bigger than you ever have before. I really believe that.
I love it. So we're going to link to that episode in the show notes in the description below if you're watching on YouTube. And then also it's going to be here somewhere on the screen. Go watch it now because it's also going to show you the only 3 types of content that you need to be creating and how to leverage AI to make it happen. All right. So we love you guys. Let us know what questions you have in the comment section below. We're always reading them and using them as future episodes. Yeah. So we want to hear from you. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. Like 80% of you guys who watch our videos are not subscribed yet. All right. So help us out. This is the best possible way that you can show us support. And of course, come work with us inside one of our group coaching programs. Yeah. All of that info is going to be below in the description. We love you. We'll see you in the next one. Un beso. Bye for now.